Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Elections. My name is Ethan Kelly, the creator of Let's Talk Elections. And today we are going to be with the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, General Josh Shapiro. General, if you don't mind, do you mind introducing yourself to the camera really quick?
Yep. Hey, I'm Josh Shapiro. I'm the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, and I'm running to be the next governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Awesome. So General Shapiro has been the Attorney General since 2016, coinciding with the presidential election, ran for re-election in 2020 and won again. And of course, we have our upcoming midterms in just a number of months now. So we're going to get right into the first question. And this one, of course, is just geared more towards the midterms. So you're running on some pretty standard Democratic ideals, such as raising the minimum wage, expanding voting access, and protecting women's right to choose. How do you expect these issues to play directly into our upcoming midterms?
Look, Ethan, I travel all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Every day I'm somewhere else and get the opportunity to listen to folks, to hear what's on their mind. It's something that I've done throughout my career, not only running for Attorney General, but as Attorney General, traveling to each of Pennsylvania's 67 counties routinely. Not an easy task in a big state like ours. And I think one thing you got to do when you're in a position of public service is listen, is actually hear what's on people's minds. And so the things I'm campaigning on are the things that I hear from people every day, that they want good schools for their kids. They want to live in safe communities. They want to make sure that there's economic opportunities for all in places where people can fit into this new and changing economy. And Ethan, if you can help me get this fourth thing on a bumper sticker, I'd really appreciate it. Because the other thing I hear from people most on is they don't want to get screwed, right? They don't want to get screwed by some big corporation that puts profits over people. And frankly, they don't want to get screwed by a government that's not looking out for them or actively working against their interests, whether it's to take away their voting rights or make it harder for them to make decisions over their own bodies. These are the things I hear about day in and day out from folks.
Awesome. So in 2016 and 2020, you outpaced both of the Democratic nominees for president. What do you think was the difference between the presidential campaign and the more localized Attorney General campaign that helped you accomplish such a feat?
I actually think it goes back to what I just spoke about and what I continue to do each day, which is travel, show up in people's communities, treat them with respect, and listen, and then go work your tail off for them, right? So I travel to communities across this Commonwealth and hear from people who tell me about a loved one who died of an opioid overdose. And you know what? We've locked up thousands of drug dealers and taken on the pharmaceutical companies to help those families who are still, have children who are battling the disease of addiction or loved ones battling the disease of addiction. I show up and listen, and when 1.9 million Western Pennsylvanians were about to lose access to healthcare, I took on the two big healthcare companies in Western PA and protected access for people to have to their doctors. And I took on the most powerful organization on the planet, the Roman Catholic Church, who were abusing thousands of children in Pennsylvania through 301 predator priests and a conspiracy and cover-up that went all the way to the Vatican. We unearthed that. We took on that big fight and we delivered for people. So I think at the end of the day, it's really a function of showing up, listening, treating people with respect, taking on big fights, and delivering real results. And I think when you do that, people tend to focus less on party label and less on ideology, and instead they focus on you knowing that you're on their side. I think that has been the reason why we've been successful in the past and why I believe we're going to be successful in the future.
Gotcha. So building off the last question, considering your race won't be coinciding with a presidential one, unlike both of those attorney general races, what do you expect to see in terms of crossover between what many people view as a top ticket type of race, the Senate race that's coming up in Pennsylvania as well? What do you expect between both Democratic nominees together through November in terms of campaigning and working together to ensure the Democrats are elected in the state of Pennsylvania?
Well, look, unlike my race where I don't have a primary, there is a pretty contested primary for United States Senate. And here's what I'll tell you about the Democrats running. They're all terrific, and they're all a hell of a lot better than Pat Toomey, who is our incumbent United States Senator. And I'll look forward to campaigning with them. I think it's going to be a critically important election cycle here in the Commonwealth for governor, for U.S. Senate, for U.S. House, and for all important state legislative races. And so from my perspective, I'm going to be working hard up and down the ticket to make sure we elect people who want to govern and focus on the things I want to focus on: good schools, safe communities, an economy that works for all, and making sure people get a fair deal. Those are the people that I want to be out campaigning with.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So a lot of what we talk about in election predictions and channels like myself, we talk about predicting elections. So I guess in your opinion, if the election was held today in Pennsylvania, do you think Democrats would perform better than you expect them to do in November, or potentially worse, or about the same?
Look, I don't know. I can speak for all Democrats. I feel real confident in the position we're in. I'm incredibly proud that the party has come together behind me, united behind my candidacy. I've been, unanimously endorsed by our state party and face no opposition in the primary. That really means a lot to me. And I feel very good about the strong position we're in. And then contrast that with my opponents. I literally have 14 Republicans running against one another to face off against me. And every one of them is captive to the big lie and peddling the big lie. They can't acknowledge that Joe Biden won the election. Every single one of them would sign a Texas-style abortion ban here in Pennsylvania. Of course, I would veto that. Every one of them would do away with vote by mail and make it harder for people to access the ballot box. Of course, I would stand in the way of attempts to undermine voting rights, as I have done as Attorney General. So I feel real good about the position we're in. I feel real good given the clear contrast we have with my opponents. And I'm confident that whether the election is today or on November 8th, we're going to do real well.
Yeah. So mentioning Joe Biden, his approval rating right now is hovering somewhere around 40 to 41%. Do you expect the anti-Biden sentiment to play into the midterms in Pennsylvania in a heavy way, or much less than people are anticipating in the mainstream media?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, the president's numbers are a snapshot in time. Obviously, they're not terrific right now, and I hope they improve. And certainly, I think all Americans should be rooting for the president to do well, particularly given the challenges we face in Ukraine and the COVID-19 pandemic, inflation and other issues. But I will tell you, I have always outperformed the national party. In 2016, I ran ahead of Secretary Clinton. She lost in Pennsylvania, I won. And in 2020, not only did I run ahead of now President Biden, but I earned more votes than anyone in the history of Pennsylvania, running for any office at any time. I feel really confident in our ability to not only get Democratic votes, but to get votes from independents and Republicans as well. It's something we've done now in 2 election cycles statewide, and something I'm prepared to do for a third.
Yeah, so in your third campaign, this is going to be pretty different. I mean, than the Attorney General's campaign, I'm sure, as you already know. What are the main differences between your governor campaign and the past 2 Attorney General races statewide?
Well, look, obviously the issue set is different. I mean, while there are some similarities, for example, I campaigned on a message of criminal justice reform when I ran for Attorney General. I'll be talking about criminal justice reform, and I do talk about criminal justice reform in my campaign for governor. But obviously, an Attorney General is not focused on how we fund our schools or how we create jobs or things like that. That is something that I now spend the bulk of my time talking about in the context of this campaign. So the issue set is a little bit different, but the discipline is the same. Hard work, show up, listen to people, treat folks with respect, and respectfully ask them for their vote.
All right. And looking at the super competitive Senate election and governor election that's coming up in your state, what do you really expect to see from the Republican Party in terms of their positioning against the Democrats in these races for November? What do you think is going to be really their main focus and means of attacking the Democratic Party?
I mean, as I said, there's 15 Republicans running for governor. I don't remember the exact number running for the Senate. I think it's 5 or 6 or 7. Look, they're hugging Trump. They're peddling the big lie, and they're focused on cynically dividing us. From my perspective, I'm focused on trying to bring people together and take on big fights and solve real problems. And that's a core difference between me and any one of them.
And there's a lot of people who watch my channel who are a bit younger. A lot of my demographics really reside between the 18 to 24 age range. So for the young people watching this video and they see someone like you who has served in different positions statewide and now running for governor, what advice would you give them if they are thinking about entering into politics? Or what do you think should really excite them about stepping foot in the political world?
Get in the game. I mean, really, there are so many challenges that we face right now. Big challenges that affect our globe, like climate, challenges that affect us in communities all across this country, like gun violence, challenges on, you're at a terrific higher education institution, challenges that affect young people about whether they're going to be able to afford and have access to higher education. And what I've found is, while it's important, obviously, for me to be out talking about these issues, it's really important for me to be out listening to folks on these issues and then fighting for them. And I find that group of people, I think you said kind of 18 to 24-year-olds, you all have really good answers and you deserve to be listened to. And on the big issues of the day, take climate and gun violence, the truth is young people in that age group are leading the way while the politicians fail to get much done. And so from my perspective, not only would I like you to get out and vote for me if you're in Pennsylvania, I want you to be engaged in the process. And I think if you're engaged, our system works better. And you should not, hear me on this, wait your turn. You should not sit quietly because someone older than you is talking. Obviously, you can be respectful and let them finish, but you got to weigh in. We need to hear from you. My campaign is made up with a number of people who fall in that age bracket, recent college grads and others. We need more young people engaged and involved in our politics. And I'm excited to not just talk to you, but to have that opportunity to have all of your viewers out there hear me clearly on this. We need you now more than ever with these big challenges that we face. Right now, we need you engaged. Get off the sidelines, get in the game and do your part.
Absolutely. I think it's really important that people get involved, which is why I have my own YouTube channel just to talk about these topics, right? So, and my last question, which is a bit different, it's not about the midterms, but I heard that you were an elector for the past 2020 presidential election. What exactly was that like? I learned about this for the first time in the fourth grade. We learned about faithless electors and things of that nature, but I never actually understood what it meant to be an elector and how that process actually works in terms of casting your ballot. So you don't have to reveal anything you don't want to, but just for a little bit of my own curiosity.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I was an elector twice for President Obama, and I was an elector now once for President Biden. And it was a really different experience from the two times I did it for President Obama to this time we did it for President Biden. With Obama, it was much more of a ceremonial process. Pennsylvanians voted for Barack Obama twice. And so really as electors, we were going to go up and have this sort of fancy ceremony steeped in history, using the same box to place our ballots in, if you will, that Ben Franklin used, right, from the Franklin era. Very, very cool. But there was no question about what we were going there to do. We had a ceremonial job, it felt like, to do, to just simply go and vote according to the will of the people. Fast forward to 2020. I had been involved in dozens of court cases to defend the vote here in Pennsylvania. And then we got to the Electoral College where it really felt less like ceremonial and far more of a legal process, a legal mandate for us to do, and to be able to push back on those in Pennsylvania that were trying to undermine the election. In fact, the former president sent a fake set of electors to Harrisburg that day, and then sent a document to the National Archives claiming that they were this alternative slate of electors. What I learned in the process this time, even with all the ceremonial stuff and this and that, is that we really have to remove these middle steps, which used to be ceremonial, but do have legal consequence to them, from the process, and just have a direct national popular vote, so that the will of the people is respected. So, Ethan, that there's no middle ground between your vote and ultimately who assumes the White House. To me, there are just too many ways the process can break down because you have too many unscrupulous, unethical actors. Let me explain what I mean by that. Shortly after we cast our ballots in the Electoral College, January 6th happened, the violent insurrection. And when the Capitol was ultimately cleared, 8 Republican congressmen from Pennsylvania, 8 of 9, went to the floor of the House of Representatives, still riddled with glass and other things from the violent insurrection, and stood up on the House floor and objected to the Electoral College, to the electors from Pennsylvania, claiming that it wasn't true, that Donald Trump really won the election. By the way, they got elected on the same ballot. Somehow their elections were fine, but Donald Trump's wasn't. And to me, what that said, between the fake electors that were sent to Harrisburg, between these lying, unethical members of Congress from Pennsylvania, we can no longer have faith in a system that puts any process in between the people and the ultimate outcome of who the next president is. So I'm sorry to give you such a long-winded answer here, Ethan, but for me, it really went from a ceremonial, really kind of neat process and honor to be a part of, to something that I think we need to do away with and just focus on a national popular vote.
It's a shame to see, respected institutions brought down by a few people who are unwilling to accept election results. But I guess, sometimes that's just part of politics, unfortunately. So that concludes our interview. It was super insightful hearing from you on such an important race this November. Thank you so much for also helping me figure out that curiosity part of the electoral process.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're a very busy man, and I hope that this race is one that goes down. Hopefully, what people all view as legitimate. Hopefully, by the end of November. But yeah, do you have anything else you'd like to say? Any closing remarks?
Ethan, I think your YouTube channel is awesome, and to all of you who are watching, thank you for tuning in. I just want to let each and every one of you know it's not just me and Ethan who are involved in the process. It's each and every one of you. We all have a responsibility to get off the sidelines, get in the game, and do our part to defend our democracy, do our part to tackle big issues that we're facing today, from climate to gun violence to the systemic inequities that hold too many communities, particularly communities of color, back. Each and every one of you have a role to play. And I hope you'll join me and join Ethan in being involved in our system and in protecting our democracy. So thanks so much for having me. Good to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for watching.